Am I really going to dig up this 3-year-old corpse of an idea for a crappy little video? Of course I am, I'm Chowderballs, that's what I do. Hello everyone, and welcome to a rather interesting video. You see, recently it was revealed that a never-seen-before massive new entity and a special room type where it spawns were planned to be added to doors a long while back. And in this video, I aim to expose these revelations to all of you. And who knows, maybe the developers will actually add this room to the game and the special entity which spawns in it, because they add back scrapped content sometimes. So with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so recently some screenshots of a conversation between Red, who is a Doors developer, as well as one of the moderators in the Doors community server were revealed, and they exposed that a new entity and its own unique room type were going to be added to Doors, but it was eventually cut from the game for being too difficult to implement. Now, both the entity and the room type go hand in hand, so let me paint the scene for you. You're walking through the hotel, stumbling through the various corridors with barely any health because you suck at this game. All of a sudden, the next room you enter is different from the rest. You aren't surrounded by walls on your sides, but instead you're on what appears to be a balcony overlooking the outside world. Peering down below the railings, you see acres of trees, maybe a river or some other decorations such as bushes and whatnot. The vegetation spreads for as far as you can see, but as you look in the distance at the trees fading away from your eyesight, you notice something peculiar. In the distance, you see an absolute behemoth of a creature, simply just watching you. The monster is larger than anything you've ever seen, and it's just sitting there, lurking, observing. I've chosen to represent this entity as a giant mound of seafood, but it's likely to have been its own unique creature. This balcony room type and the colossal beast that resides within it is an early concept for something that could have been indoors, but unfortunately it was cut from the game. Now, the developers simply said the reason this was removed was because it was too hard to implement, but let's dissect that a little more. Now, I'd just like to mention, and keep this in mind as it's super important, that in no way, shape, or form am I a Roblox developer, so I have no real clue about what's difficult and what isn't when making something like this. However, based on the information given to us so far, it appears that the hardest part of making this feature would have been building and fitting the room into the rest of the game. A singular room would have had to be massive to make it so the natural environment looked realistic enough from the top of a balcony. And given the size requirement for just a random one-off room type, likely could have been a deal breaker. This problem would have further been worsened given how the room layout was supposed to be a 90-degree turn, meaning both sides of the balcony could have potentially overlooked the ground, making the room even larger. However, if we just assume only one side overlooked the ground below and the other side was attached to a wall like a proper balcony, it still probably would have been too large to suitably fit the game. Additionally, given how based on these messages it appears multiple different layouts of this room type were planned, a lot of insanely large rooms would have needed to be created, which may have also been seen as too big of a cost. As for the colossal entity itself, although it likely would have functioned similar to Jack, where it's just an Easter egg entity that only intends to scare players, which I actually think would work better for this behemoth, it's actually possible mechanics were planned for it, like actual mechanics, and these could be challenging to incorporate into the entity due to its size. All in all, although this concept does really seem cool, it just seems really time-consuming to actually make come to life. However, there is still a tiny bit of hope for something like this. As you all probably know, the developers have said that they are planning on adding scrapped ideas back into the game, and this could be one of them. The giant entity likely wouldn't be too hard to make given how it probably won't do anything, just like Jack, so it wouldn't really need intricate animations or mechanics or anything like that. As for room layouts, now, if the developers have the resources to accomplish this and really want to put their time into this, then I'd say go for it, as this concept does sound very cool. However, I do think some downsizing could be put into place. For example, instead of all the rooms being suspended above the ground and therefore requiring more ground to be built to sell the illusion of actually being suspended, these long nature hallways could be like the one in the courtyard, where they're just at ground level, meaning just a nearby forest could mask the borders of the room. It's little techniques like this that could minimize the sheer difficulty of making a room type like this, that could actually make it worthwhile to implement. However, like I said, I am not a Roblox developer, so I don't know if building was the issue with implementing this room type, but that is just what I got based on the information we received. So, to summarize, it was revealed that a new balcony room type and a corresponding entity for it were planned to be added to doors and were eventually cut, and I just wanted to highlight that in this video. Now, like I said, although it's very unlikely, there is a chance something like this with the same concept could be added in the future. Obviously downsized to actually be worth implementing, but yeah. So with all of that being said, let me know what you think of this scrapped feature in the comments, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.